Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Salt. Let's get straight into the storyline. In a North Korean prison, CIA agent Evelyn Salt is being tortured in an attempt to force a confession of espionage. Despite insisting she's there solely on business, her captors refuse to believe her. Sometime later, fellow agent Ted arrives to negotiate her release through a prisoner exchange. Salt is surprised. CIA protocol dictates that sacrificing the cover of hundreds isn't worth saving a single life. Ted agrees, but explains that Salt's release was pushed through because of her friend Mike. Upon learning of her capture, Mike petitioned the Senate and State Department, pressuring the CIA into action to avoid a public scandal. 2 years later, Salt and Mike are married, living together with their dog and Mike's spiders. He's an arachnologist. Salt has stepped away from fieldwork and is handling paperwork at the CIA. One afternoon, Agent Peabody asks for her help in interrogating a Russian defector who just walked in due to her fluency in Russian. The defector, named Orlov, notices her wedding ring and remarks, "A husband must be a distraction for an agent."
A husband must be a distraction.
He claims to have cancer and says he once worked for the FSB. Both claims are verified by the system, so he's permitted to share his story. According to Orlov, back in 1975, a Russian patriot devised a plan to destroy the United States. He began abducting children and training them to become elite spies, indoctrinated with ideology and discipline. Once mature, these agents were sent to the U.S. as sleeper agents, waiting patiently to strike from within. The time to act, Orlov says, is near. During the funeral of the American vice president, sleeper agent K.A. is supposed to assassinate the Russian president. The K.A. program is considered a Cold War myth, so the CIA suspects Orlov is bluffing and ends the interrogation.
The K.A. program is brilliant bullshit.
As Salt prepares to leave, Orlov drops a bombshell. K.A. is Evelyn Salt. Shocked, Salt believes she's being framed. She asks Ted for permission to contact Mike, recalling Orlov's remark about her wedding ring. But Mike doesn't answer.
Me, please call me as soon as you get this.
Peabody, not taking any chances, locks Salt in an office while the team discusses their next steps. Meanwhile, agents try to move Orlov via elevator, but he surprises them with a hidden knife in his shoe and kills them both. Orlov escapes, and the CIA's attention is diverted, giving Salt the chance to slip out under the pretense of using the restroom.
I gotta pee.
She heads for the emergency stairs, but agents soon realize what's happening and begin locking down the building. Salt uses a fire extinguisher to obscure the security cameras. Ted calls her directly, warning that her actions only make her look more guilty. But Salt is focused on finding her husband. She sneaks into a janitor's closet and creates a makeshift bomb by mixing cleaning chemicals inside a table leg.
Don't get hurt.
Have you found my husband?
When the tactical team approaches, she detonates it. She then seizes a gun from one of the agents and smashes a window, finally escaping the building. After running several blocks, she hails a taxi and tries calling Mike again, but there's still no answer. She destroys her SIM card to avoid being tracked and recalls a conversation with Ted from years ago when he encouraged her to befriend Mike. As a high-level scientist with unrestricted access to North Korea, Mike was the perfect cover for infiltration. Returning to her apartment, Salt finds it empty and clear signs that Mike has been kidnapped. Salt quickly packs a bag, including a gun and a spider, and escapes through the window with her dog just as the CIA arrives at her apartment. Peabody grows frustrated when they find the place empty.
Mine is catching her so we can find out. Protocol is clear. We bring her in or we bring her down.
Ted suggests that maybe Salt is telling the truth and that she's being framed. Meanwhile, Salt climbs around the side of the building and visits a young neighbor, asking her to take care of her dog while she's away. She also takes the opportunity to change clothes and starts thinking about Mike again. In the past, she had visited the museum frequently, initially just to get close to him for her mission. But over time, her feelings became real. She leaves the building wearing a hat, but Ted still recognizes her. A citywide chase begins.
Board the bridge. Box her in. Go!
Here, I'm innocent.
On the ground! No!
Somebody is setting me up.
Don't make me put you down, son. Put the goddamn gun down!
As Salt manages to escape, Peabody receives a message from the research team revealing that Salt lost her parents as a child and was sent to Russia, supporting Orloff's story. Moments later, Salt enters a biker bar. She patches up her wound using a sanitary pad and changes her clothes again, all while continuing to think about the life she once had with Mike. She then takes a bus to New York and reflects on the day she was freed from the Korean prison. She had confessed to Mike that she was actually CIA and that they couldn't be together, but Mike didn't care. He loved her and wanted her anyway. When Salt arrives in New York, she checks into a luxury hotel under a fake identity and steals a coat. In her room, she removes her contact lenses and false teeth, revealing her true identity. She is a Russian sleeper agent. Orloff's arrival was all part of the plan to signal her next mission. Salt has smuggled in a large stash of weapons. She extracts venom from the spider to poison her bullets, and uses a computer to download detailed subway maps to begin planning the assassination of the Russian president. As she dyes her hair black, she remembers the day she was accepted into the CIA, and how easily she convinced them she wanted to serve and protect the United States. The next day, the streets are crowded with people attending the vice president's funeral.
Yayev has journeyed from Moscow to be an honorary...
The CIA is on high alert, searching for Salt. She takes the subway instead. The stop near the church is closed due to the funeral, but Salt is prepared. She sets off a smoke bomb in the subway car, and while everyone is distracted, she slips away and navigates through the tunnels using the map she downloaded. This gives her undetected access to the church. She fights off every guard she encounters on her way to a room directly beneath the podium, where the Russian president is delivering a speech. Ted and Peabody are alerted to the situation when guards start disappearing, but Salt is already several steps ahead. She plants a bomb on the ceiling of the room. When it detonates, the floor collapses and the Russian president falls into the room below. Salt immediately shoots him with a poison bullet. The gunshot gives away her location, and Peabody finds her. Surprisingly, Salt drops her weapon and surrenders to the authorities without resistance. As she's escorted out of the building, Ted yells at her, hurt by what he sees as her betrayal. The Russian president is declared dead en route to the hospital. Meanwhile, Salt is being taken away in a police car. As she sits in silence, her mind drifts back to her childhood at the training facility. As a young girl, she underwent full plastic surgery to change her appearance and was given a new identity, Evelyn Salt, complete with a fabricated American backstory. In the bed next to hers, another child asked if Salt would ever miss them, but she said nothing in response. When the police car reaches a bridge, Salt suddenly attacks the officers inside, causing the vehicle to crash into several other police cars. After hitting as many as possible, she steers the car off the bridge and survives the crash thanks to the airbags. A crowd quickly gathers around the wreckage, giving Salt the perfect opportunity to slip away unnoticed. On her way out, she grabs a hat from a nearby shop to help disguise herself. Later, Salt boards a boat, lost in thought about the day she was brought back to America. She had been placed with a new family, blending in while waiting patiently for further orders.
One day, I will come for all of you.
Upon arriving at the harbor, she sees breaking news on a nearby TV. Protests are erupting across Russia, fueled by outrage over what they perceive as a terrorist attack on their president. At a nearby bar, Salt meets with Orloff, the man who once trained her and the mastermind behind the KA project. He calls her his perfect creation but reprimands her again for marrying. Salt insists that the marriage was simply part of her cover, a way to appear normal. To test her loyalty, Orloff brings her to his hideout and reveals that Mike is being held hostage underwater. Rather than shoot him, which would be too quick and easy, they begin to slowly drown him. Watching Salt closely to see if she reacts. She maintains a calm expression, though her eyes betray her pain and helplessness. Convinced of her loyalty, the others welcome her warmly, and Salt recognizes many of them as the children she trained with. Orloff later takes her aside and outlines the next phase of their plan, seizing control of America's nuclear arsenal. Salt is to meet a NATO agent on a nearby plane who will give her final instructions. But just when it seems Salt is fully aligned with them, she grabs a bottle and kills Orloff in an instant, payback for destroying her life. She then arms herself with grenades and rifles, killing everyone in the facility without hesitation. Despite her success, the revenge feels hollow. When she finally reaches Mike, it's too late. He's already dead. Salt is overcome with grief, remembering the joy she once felt on their wedding day. Later, Salt boards the assigned plane and is surprised to see Schneider, the same boy who once said he would miss her. Now a high-ranking colonel, he introduces Salt as his attaché for a mission to the White House, where they plan to assassinate the American president. He also hints that other sleeper agents are likely already embedded in key positions. Hours later, they arrive in Washington. Salt wears a male disguise to match the fake ID Schneider has provided. They pass through White House security without incident, noting that CIA officials are also present at the upcoming meeting. As planned, Schneider begins acting erratically, shoving Salt aside before opening fire on everyone around him. The guards rush the president to safety, just as Schneider activates a bomb. Meanwhile, CIA officer Ted suspects that Salt may be involved. Using the chaos as cover, Salt steals an access card and removes her disguise.
Second assailant, Evelyn Salt.
She sees the president being taken to a secure bunker via an elevator. After they leave, she incapacitates the remaining guard, pries open the elevator doors, and descends the shaft. As the president and his agents reach the bunker, Salt makes her move, sneaking through the corridor just before the doors shut, taking out any guard who stands in her way. As Salt destroys the control panel for the doors and security cameras, the team informs the president that intelligence confirms Russia is preparing to launch its missiles. The president orders the team to start reviewing nuclear response options, while a few agents are sent to investigate the malfunctioning doors. However, Salt easily overpowers them. Meanwhile, the president contacts military leaders to obtain the authorization codes for the nuclear arsenal. White House security soon discovers Salt is heading their way. Ted asks for a weapon, but the guard refuses due to protocols in place when the president is present. Suddenly, Ted reveals his true allegiance. He's a Russian sleeper agent. He forcibly takes the weapon from the guard and kills everyone in the room.
Sit down.
Afterward, he calmly waits for Salt's arrival. When she doesn't come fast enough, Ted confronts the president, urging him to cooperate. When the president refuses, Ted kills him as well. Salt finally reaches the secure room, but the final door is locked. She communicates with Ted through the intercom. Ted explains that he never told her the truth because getting close to people is dangerous. She didn't recognize him because he had been in a higher training class than hers. Meanwhile, a new security team is working to break down the door, as Salt watches Ted and learns his plan, to launch nuclear missiles at the Middle East to provoke an attack on the US. Salt pretends to want to join him and be by his side. But before Ted opens the door, he's shocked to see a news report revealing that the Russian president is alive. His apparent death was due to temporary paralysis from spider venom, part of Salt's original plan. Realizing Salt betrayed Russia for love, specifically for Mike, Ted becomes emotional. He reveals that he was the one who convinced Orloff to use Salt for the assassination. Even though Orloff didn't want it because he cared about her, and knew it would be a suicide mission. Ted also admits it was he who arranged for Mike to be taken hostage. This enrages Salt, and she begins shooting at the bulletproof glass. While Ted uses the president's severed hand to authorize the missile launch, Salt changes tactics and shoots at the wall, exposing and destroying the lock system. She gains access and engages Ted in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. At first, Ted has the upper hand, but Salt manages to overpower him and rushes to stop the missile launch. Just then, the security team bursts in and shoots Salt.
Sequence aborted. Systems restored.
But she survives thanks to her bulletproof vest. She is arrested. With the cameras disabled, Ted is still seen as an innocent CIA agent. Agent Peabody arrives and listens to reports about Orloff and his team, unsure of Salt's true motives. As Salt is escorted out, she sees Ted discreetly steal a pair of scissors from a doctor. Acting quickly, she uses her handcuff chain to strangle Ted and leaps over a railing, killing him instantly. Salt is then placed in a helicopter with Peabody, who demands an explanation. She tells him everything about Ted. When he doubts her story, she reminds him she had the chance to kill both him and the president earlier at the church, but didn't. She vows to take down every remaining sleeper agent.
Like him, more than you or I can handle alone.
Peabody, now convinced after receiving confirmation that she killed Orloff, realizes Salt may be their only hope against the sleeper threat. They decide to proceed off the record. While no one is watching, Peabody unlocks her cuffs. As the helicopter passes over a river, Salt jumps out, and Peabody pretends she escaped by surprise. He orders the helicopter to search the area, but Salt is already swimming away and disappearing into the forest.